What's up, everybody? Welcome to Level 7. It is time for another episode of the Agents of Fandom podcast. I'm your host, TJ Zwarych. It is episode 1 of Beyond Invincible, our Invincible after show. No Fat Thor today. He's taking care of some business, so we are wishing him the best as he is unable to make our first show. But Invincible is back with season 3 and breaking down every single episode of the series alongside of me. I got my guy Sean of MetalCoreNerds and Collider. Sean, how you doing today?
Doing great. It feels so nice to have Invincible back in our lives, and a much shorter wait this time. So it's good. Everything's good. Everything's good. Happy to be here.
Joining us as well is the first-time guest on the show. A lot of first-time guests lately, which is making this very exciting. A writer over at The Mary Sue. And I will say, when I met our guest, there are very few times that I'm like, I'm nowhere near as social in person as I used to be. I don't have the same confidence in social situations. I start getting anxious. But when I met our guest at New York Comic Con 2 years ago, I was like, wow, I need to be friends with this person because she is so damn cool. Rachel Tollison, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Happy to be here. Excited to chat about the greatest show ever finally being back.
Let's kind of, because none of us have chatted Invincible together before, I kind of want to know everybody's Invincible background. You know, did you start with the show? Did you start with the comics? Have you read both? What makes you a fan? So Rachel, I'll go with you first. When did you discover this property and what made you a fan?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I started with the show. I think I had seen the comics in various comic shops, but there's so much of it. I was like, I am so intimidated by the sheer volume. So I just never, it's been on my bucket list. I'm like, I'll read it at some point in my life. I just never have, but I watched the show and I was like, this is exactly what I want. I love gritty superhero shows. Like, nothing against Marvel or DC or anything like that, but I'm like, give me this kind of vibe. So it's like I fell in love with that, with the storytelling, just with everything. They have such a phenomenal roster of voice actors that are just amazing. Like everything about the show, it's consistently good. And it's one of those ones where I'm like, okay, if I have to wait a few years in between the seasons, I'm good with it. Like as long as I get it back at some point.
As long as it comes back at some point, and it does seem like the gaps aren't going to be quite as big now. You know, hopefully we're not constantly going through pandemics and writer strikes and things like that. But it does seem as though they're going to be bringing this back at a quicker pace than they had originally. And like Rachel said, an incredible voice cast. We did talk about that incredible voice cast in my new interview with Robert Kirkman and Simon Rasiopa, the creator and showrunner of Invincible, now streaming on the Agents of Fandom YouTube page. So when you're smashing the like button for us right now, when you're hitting that notification bell and subscribing, go check out the interview with Robert Kirkman and Simon Rasiopa. They talk about which Invincible characters they would like to potentially do spin-offs for. And they give a tease that more Adam Eve content could be coming here in the future as well. So make sure you check that one out. Sean, where did your Invincible fandom start?
It also started with the show. Obviously, I've been familiar with Robert Kirkman since The Walking Dead became one of the biggest shows on TV. And then I was like, oh yeah, his superhero thing is getting made and adapted. So I expected it to be crazy, but I remember watching the first episode, and the first episode plays like almost like a classic Saturday morning cartoon until the last scene. The classic now almost every episode has this kind of quote unquote cut scene at the end of the episode. The credits roll, and then you're like, no, just kidding. Here's a whole another 10 minutes. Like sometimes it's longer. It's so awesome. I absolutely love these like little tags at the end of the episodes. But when that tag happened, I was like, oh, that's what we're in for. Let's go. This is awesome. And they've only continued. I don't think a series like ever has handled consequences the way this series handles consequences. The weight of every action, every single thing always comes back, and it always hits harder. And that's the thing that I always take the most from this show. And going back, I've read a good number of the comics. I'm not caught up to where we are. I think I'm probably somewhere in the season 2 range. I think I was like on volume 7 or something, which is crazy because I know there's, like Rachel said, there's like over 100 and something issues. Like it's wild and crazy. There, if you buy the compendium, very thick boys.
I have like the behind me, and they're each like this thick.
I look at them and I'm like,
that's so because much. You can't read compendiums. Like it's impossible. You can't hold that and read it. It's crazy. No. So I've been buying the volumes, but those are much harder to find. The small volumes are way harder to find, but I have a good chunk of them, so I'm making my way through that. But I always fight with, do I want to know what's going to happen, or do I want to see how it goes in the show and then read back and go like, oh, this is how they change these things? Because while it is probably one of the most comic accurate adaptations as far as following the source material, they do make a lot of changes to enhance and make the storytelling and the characters a lot better, which is thumbs up to Robert Kirkman for realizing that he can make his work better. I feel like that's like a thing that like no one does, so good job, buddy.
Yeah,
I too started with the show. I remember just finding out from some friends just being like, look, start this, trust me, you're not ready. Just go in with an open mind. Go in and enjoy this cool new superhero show in the mind. I had some friends say that like this is one of their favorite, their favorite, if not their favorite comic book they've ever read. The series is super cool. There's tons of cool heroes. Go check it out. So I'm like, sure, let's do it. And then by the end of the first episode, like you guys said, you're just absolutely hooked. It is next level what they do with that reveal, and it is something that happens throughout the entire series. I think we kind of get like, obviously you have like your typical mainstream superhero content with Marvel and DC. You have your things like The Boys, which are very much a parody, very much exaggerated. And Invincible is maybe closer to that side, but it's kind of the middle ground of them, where it's like, this is a realistic take on if superheroes were existing, but we're also going to take all these different tropes from throughout comic book lore, and we're going to give you pieces of it, but we're going to flip it on its head and do something totally different that you will never expect. And it is really one of the best comic book TV shows out there. Before we dive into our breakdown of the first 3 episodes, since this is Rachel's first time on the show, Sean, since I haven't talked to you about this in a while, it's been a week since we talked Severance, I want to have an edition of Whatcha Watchin, where we talk about what you're watching on TV, or any movies you've watched, any books you've read or comics you've read, even video games you're playing. What are you doing in your own time? We all do this so much for work. What are you doing on your own time? Because we all love Invincible. If somebody's tuning in for the first time and they're like, hey, I love Invincible, I wonder what these other people who love Invincible also like watching. Maybe there's something I want to watch. Give them a chance to find it right now. So Rachel, throw it to you first. What you been watching?
Oh gosh, honestly, it's mostly been Severance. I've stepped back a smidge from television recently. I've been doing a lot more movies since I've been getting into like reviewing and stuff more. But Severance has been the main thing that I've been watching. Now that this is back, it's great. I've been doing so much reality TV lately. I do not know why. I've gone through like 6 seasons of The Amazing Race in the last month. Like I'm mentally unwell with how much I've been watching that show. Just because I'm like, I want to watch something that's like, I don't want to think about it. I just want to watch something that's entertaining for some reason. I go through cycles where I do that. But been reading, finished a book on the life of a coroner because I'm really interested in true crime and all of that stuff. Very fascinating read if anyone is into that. I forgot who wrote it, but it is called The Life of a Coroner. And then, recently saw Companion, fantastic film, great film. Cannot recommend it enough. Really excited for Hard Eyes to come out this week, today actually, because it's Thursday. Just like little things like that. That's been my big ones so far recently.
Days of the week are fake. They're not real. They're all blending together at this point. If it weren't for TV shows releasing on different days, I would have no idea what day of the week it is at any time. Like that's literally the only thing that's keeping me on a schedule right now is TV show releases. We do a live show every Wednesday for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. One on Thursday for Invincible, one on Friday for Severance. That's all that keeps me going throughout the week.
The last half of
Sean,
the week.
pretty great. Not all that keeps me going. Like like life's pretty good. I mean, we got a beautiful little baby and she's wonderful. But in terms of keeping me locked into society and understanding how days of the week work, it's definitely TV keeping me on that schedule. Sean, what you been watching?
I also saw Companion. My birthday was on Monday, so I went and saw Companion by myself at 1 in the afternoon, which was awesome. It was pretty rad, but that movie rocked. It was so sick. If you're a horror fan of any kind, don't watch anything. I don't want to tell you anything. Just go in and enjoy the ride. That's all I'm gonna say. That I've also been watching Paradise, the new thriller series on Hulu. Also, the same vein. If you haven't watched it, just go watch it. After the first episode at the end, you're not hooked, then I don't know what to tell you. It's honestly one of the best shows on TV right now. Not as good as Severance, but I don't know. I don't think anything's gonna top Severance this year. Sorry, the rest of the world. Sucks to be not Severance, I guess. And then also been watching Severance, obviously Invincible, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I've been watching, mostly rewatching Severance. I've already seen all of season 2, so I've been rewatching episodes as they come out too. I've been trying to write stories for About on Collider, so that's been my thing. I try to rewatch at the beginning of the week, come up with pitch ideas, and try and get that out. That's been my thing with Severance, but it's amazing that show exists again. And then for reading, I've been reading. My wife got me into this Fourth Wing series. I'm sure everyone's heard of this. Like one of the biggest books there is. Like I think, I don't know, it's pretty massive. I went to the midnight release of the new book with her, and it was insane. There was like 100 people there, and I live in a pretty small city in New York, so in upstate New York, not New York City. So I was like, what? Who are all these people? This is crazy. But I'm on the second book. I'm like a little over halfway through the second book, but it's hard to describe, but it's kind of like Harry Potter meets Game of Thrones, I guess. It is very adult. It does kind of have like an Invincible tone to it, because at times it feels really fun, but people die a lot and there's a lot of twists. So I think Invincible actually is like a very good comparison tone wise, because it's been rumored it's going to be a show on, not rumored, it's been confirmed it's going to be a show on Prime, which I think is the perfect kind of spot for it, especially because it's a show about dragons. So obviously it's going to be very expensive to make. But the thing I've been worried about most is tone, because it does have a very specific tone and it is very adult, but it definitely fits in like the Invincible, The Boys, that kind of realm. And if they do it right, it can be massive. But I feel like I'm starting to become the person who's like, it wasn't as good as the book. So that's where I am in life now, I guess. This is 35.
This is 35. I've just almost completed my Defenderverse rewatch. We just finished Luke Cage season 2, which means it is finally, I've been so excited to get back here. Daredevil season 3 time, and so can't wait to finish that one up. And then I also have been watching Paradise. I'm only 2 episodes in, but I'm looking forward to catching up onto that one as well. And I don't think I've actually seen any new movies lately, just because we've been so locked into just trying to get through all these Defenderverse stuff until before the Daredevil Born Again comes out in only a month. We're only a month away from Daredevil Born Again, another show that we will be breaking down every week right after it drops. We will do our live shows right after the primetime release of Daredevil. So once again, smash the like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let's talk about Invincible season 3. The first 3 episodes are now out streaming on Amazon Prime. Rachel, I'll throw it to you first. Initial thoughts. We won't go like in-depth spoilers yet, but initial thoughts on what'd you think? First 3 episodes.
I was like, holy crap. There was no easing into it. They were like, it's been 2 years. Here you go. Let's throw you right in. It has been 2 years. Yeah. Like, let's throw you right in. It was just, I was like hooked, because I like blew through all of them this morning the minute I woke up, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I'm so glad that there are 3 episodes for me to go through, because there's just so much happening this season already. So many twists, so many just like shocking moments that I can't wait for people to see and discuss. Like, I think the season's gonna be insane, and I'm scared, but also really excited to see what it's gonna bring. There's a little bit of nervousness there, but I get kind of nervous, I guess.
When they sent out screeners for this one, they sent out 6, which is not the entirety of the season, but still a large chunk. And I will say, like, I'm just stuck here waiting. Everything that they've set up is so damn exciting, and I can't wait to see the conclusion of it. Sean, what do you think of the first 3 episodes?
I just want to say the episode 6 cliffhanger makes me want to jump off a roof because I need to know what happens after it. That's all I'm going to say. The first 3 episodes.
No.
Wow. I know we talked about this right before the Severance episode because I think it was right after we both watched the screener. So we talked a little bit before we went live with that. And I remember you saying it kind of goes a little fast. And upon rewatching, because I was like, oh, I can kind of get that. Upon rewatching, it does make sense to where it goes, especially what episode 2 does. Like what the show does is like they'll think they're doing something fast, or like, oh, they forgot about this one thread, and they always come back to it. It's like insane. I don't understand how they handle so many plot threads at once. Like I swear there's like 20 going on at one given time, and they never feel lost or like forgotten. And they make it so easy as a viewer to be in the know and be like, oh yeah, I remember that thing. Oh yeah, of course. Like they just do such a good job of keeping you informed of what's going on, even though there's so much going on. And I just love how the brutality just keeps getting, as the seasons go, it just keeps going. And I am also scared because I don't know, Mark dealing with the biggest problem in his life is he doesn't want to be his dad. And it's obviously a very complicated relationship that got even more complicated with season 2 and his new half brother, Oliver. And just the line you see him, he has a good heart in him, but like learning what it is to be a hero, and exactly what you said, TJ, I love how there's so many gray areas, because that's actually how what being a superhero, being gifted with powers like that would be. There is such a like deep line of saving the day, and do you kill people so they're gone forever, or do you not kill people because it's wrong? Like there's such like grand, and these are questions that have been asked for decades. Like people make fun of Batman all the time. Like, why don't you kill, like if you killed the Joker, you wouldn't have to deal with the Joker anymore. But it's like that moral line that keeps you a hero. And it's, I don't know, this show is good stuff, good soup.
Couldn't agree more. And on that exact note, I remember like I was watching these screeners kind of in line with, during our Defenderverse rewatch, we were on Jessica Jones season 1, I'm pretty sure. And it was, or just finished it. And it was, that's what that whole season is all about. It's facing a guy, the villain can do mind control. He's a mind controller, right? And he manipulates people and does these horrific things. How do you stop that other than killing him? And it leaves you with a difficult choice. Am I a hero if I'm still killing people? But how can I be a hero when I'm letting this guy run free? And it's a lot of similar conversations in the Invincible series. And I couldn't agree more. I think it's fantastic. I will say, and I need to be very clear, in comparison, in general, I still think these first 3 episodes are incredible. In comparison to other Invincible openings to seasons, I was a little underwhelmed. I did think it just moved, like the first 2 to 3 episodes to me kind of functioned as like all right, we got to get through all of this shit so that we can get to where we want to go. And let's just move all of these plot points forward very, very quickly because we got something coming. And what's coming is great. But we need to set up all the pieces in place to get there. And so in comparison to other Invincible openings of seasons, I was a little underwhelmed. But again, that's comparing it to like the highest of bars. In general, I still think this was pretty incredible television for the first 3 episodes. And one of my favorite parts is right as we dive in here, it's like, we've been gone for a while, but we're picking up Mark after being gone for a little while too. He's already started to resolve a little bit of the Engstrom-Levy trauma. Not really, but he's working on it. And dude is getting big. Dude is getting buff. I love a superhero power-up sequence, and so I love that they started this season this way. What do you think, Rachel?
Yeah. Oh, same. I was like, this is so great. I love getting to kind of like see him dive more into this, explore more, be like not like be more professional, but kind of like take it to another level. So we're getting to see him try to like work through that, and it's really kind of opened the gateway to like explore more of, like you said, like the morally gray areas. Like he struggles with the realities of the job, but he doesn't want to have to deal with death. He doesn't think that that's something that should be done. So it's like there's a lot of struggle going on in the season so far with it, and it's done like super well. I like you said, and it was like it was fast tracked a little bit in the beginning, but it worked like in a way. Like it still was, like you said, great television. It just was like I wish it's something we could have like stewed in a little bit more and like seen a little bit more of before we moved on. But it's been so long. I understand that there's more stuff coming. That that makes sense.
Sean, how about you? I don't know if it was growing up with Dragon Ball Z and just like the biggest excitement from the whole series is Goku going the whole time and just like powering himself up. But seeing Mark power himself up, I loved it. I really did.
Mhm.
Oh, it's great. I mean, we didn't get Star-Lord and Thor with the Bowflex, but we got this. So it's a good trade-off, you know. And yeah, it's like Rachel said. It's nice to see him like really coming into his own as a hero and really realizing like what his power is. And even seeing like some of the battle scenes he's been in already in the first few episodes, you're like, okay, dude, wow. It's a lot different than season 1 and season 2. Okay, because I mean he knows what's out there now. He knows he's fought a few Viltrumites at this point, and he knows it's no joke. And he's not really holding back anymore, and it's pretty scary.
As soon as we kind of get into the thick of things in this episode, we start to see some of the new cast members that get involved. We have Zolo Maridueña, who plays the two twins who are time traveling, who pop in. And when he comes in, these guys have watched a Nick Cage movie in their time. These guys have seen one of my favorite movies growing up, National Treasure, and they are on the road to steal the Declaration of Independence. They know how to do it. And another brand new voice cast member that pops in, Multi-Paul Simu Liu. Man, I gotta say, watching multiplicate, and I don't know why that was so hard to say, and Multi-Paul duplicate. That's why. Sorry, duplicate and Multi-Paul. It makes me so uncomfortable watching them fight. Like, it's just the worst power ever when you consider what they're fighting against. Like, in general, you'd think it'd be pretty cool. I can duplicate myself. There's more of them. But just like seeing them in action and just seeing them get absolutely wrecked 100 times over constantly, it's so painful. It's so painful. But we got Multi-Paul, we got Duplicate and Immortal back in action, joining the Guardians. Rexplode is fully healed and ready to get back in action. The Guardians are back together. I love the assembling of a squad. I think that's one of the reasons I was like, this moved too quick, is because I was a little bit bitter that we didn't get the squad for very long past episode 1. But Rachel, I loved getting to see the new characters combined with the old characters coming back. Yes. It just really set the tone for an exciting season.
Yeah. It's like they all, like, the writing in this is just phenomenal. Like, there's so many new characters, there's so many characters in general, but it's never cluttered. Like, you get time to know these characters, to meet these characters, and they're all so distinct. And I can't wait to see like where they're gonna go with all of them this season. And it's just great to have Jason Mantzoukas back because I missed him.
It is great to have Jason. It's weird seeing Jason, like, for years, Jason Mantzoukas has essentially been the exact same guy in every single role. He's just playing Jason Mantzoukas, exaggerated, being silly. It's weird seeing him in this season, and even over the course of these first 3 episodes, really start. There's big time character growth for Rexplode, and it's really interesting seeing the softer side of a Jason Mantzoukas character that we don't see very often. But Sean, what were some of your favorite parts of the squad reuniting and the new characters we got to see?
Definitely Rexplode. The redemption arc on him has been A+. It's been a great character development over time, and even him being like, yeah, Mark, you and Eve, even though that was his ex and everything like that. It's just like, I love how this series handles like relationships, and they handle it in a really mature way that a lot of series just don't. And I like how, like, especially the stuff with Mark and Amber last season, how they just had conversations and they were just like, yeah, this is not working for obvious reasons and stuff like that. And it's, you don't see that kind of stuff. It's happening more and more nowadays. It's like series and TV are getting smarter, or at least presenting smarter content for audiences to consume. And, it has to do with all the like progressing things with mental health and everything like that. But it's nice to see, especially in an animated superhero series. It kind of would be the last thing you would see, but you see it in the series so much, and it's great. And I love the moment of Shrinking Ray coming back and Rexplode being so excited, because I remember last season that the whole Lizard League thing was wild. We thought Duplicate was dead. Rexplode gets shot in the head, which is crazy, and Shrinking Ray gets put into a coma, which big change. I know this changed from the comics. For one, Shrinking Ray was a male in the comics, but that character ends up getting like eaten by like when he's ends up getting eaten and never comes back. So this whole kind of relationship with Rexplode, or potential relationship with Rexplode, and kind of the character involvement with it is a new thing for the series, which is really cool to see. And it's just another one of those great changes that the team of Invincible has made. And I mean, it was nice to see the Guardians back together until it wasn't. I guess that kind of goes into the Fast thing. They're back together, and then they're like, well, half the team left. Cool.
Just kidding.
Cool.
The mature levels of communication, I'm happy that you brought that up, because I do love that about this show. One of my least favorite things is when there's no plot in a story other than just miscommunication. Two people hate each other for no reason other than they think somebody said something or did something, but it didn't happen, and they don't want to talk to each other about it. I grew up watching a lot of One Tree Hill and a lot of EOC. And let me tell you, there would be not a show, like the show wouldn't have existed for near as long if people could just tell each other what they were thinking. And it's one of the reasons I love Ted Lasso as well, is Ted Lasso doesn't do the whole miscommunication thing. If somebody's not telling somebody something, it's because they have a damn good reason that they don't want to. And eventually they do, and it shows growth. And it's one of the reasons I love that show so much. I got a couple questions to ask both of you here. Somebody comes up to you, and you've had a crush on this person for a long time. But somebody comes up to you, Sean, I'll go this one, you get it first. Your longtime crush comes up to you and they say, hey, do you want to go on a date? But I met the future version of you. They were all alone and just miserable. And they asked me to do this. What are you going to say? You're excited about the date, but you know that the time travel exists, and you also know that if they met the future version of you, that's one of the reasons they're doing it.
I think the first thing I would ask is, how much did you mess up the time continuum by talking to a different version of
it's a multiverse. Don't worry about it.
That's even worse. Oh God, that could mess up everything. I don't know. I'd probably just go with it. I think. I don't know. But this is like older me, been married almost a decade me. It's and the person I'm married to, I was friends with for a decade before we got together. So I feel like if she brought that up, I would be like, "You're talking to me about time travel. What's going on here? Just take a second."
That's not the part that you're supposed to be holding.
It's like, hold on.
I mean, and the situation is a little more nuanced. It wasn't the only thing attributing to what's going on. And again, like you said, they have a conversation about it later and realize that it's more than just a future version said, hey, I'm sad and lonely, ask me out. So I would have that conversation. I had to make some time travel jokes. Okay. I love time travel. Sorry.
I know we talked about mature communication, but I wanted a spicier answer and something a little less well thought through and nuanced. But Rachel, I saw you when you were 50. I saw you when you were 50. You were miserable. Would you like to go on a date so that doesn't happen?
Honestly, I would need to know more. I'm sorry, I wouldn't immediately be like, let's do it. I would be like, how miserable was I? Was I like hanging on by a thread? Was I like ready to go? Or was I just like, ugh, life sucks, but it could be worse? Like, let's see. I feel like I would still give it a shot just because I would be like, if it is someone that I genuinely like and some sort of future me is so miserable I didn't get with this person, that's how I turned up, I'd be like, well, what's the harm? And at least giving it a shot. Like, there's gotta be a reason for it. And I'm a big, there's a reason for things kind of person. So that will play into my thought process for that. But it's like, what's the worst that can happen? We break up.
It's true.
Oh,
It's a
well.
great point. Two very mature responses. But
Sorry.
But what if you're out here trying to save the world? You're doing everything you can, plus you're trying to balance it with your friends, your family. You're basically Peter Parker, but with more powers and scarier villains. And you find out the guy that runs the biggest, scariest government organization in the world is utilizing a man who killed your friends or traumatized your friends, and he's using them on his dime to clean up your messes, as opposed to them just serving time in jail. Rachel, how do you react in that scenario? Because that I think is Mark's toughest battle.
Yes, and I was like, I always try to see both sides of things. It's such an interesting response to have to like a piece of media, a fictionalized media, but I always try to see like both sides of things. It's like I understand, but I'm also like, I am with Mark on this one. I would be pissed off. I would not, if I found out that the person who I think deserved to do time to face the actions of their consequences instead didn't, and then got a job and then was able to just go on with life. Nah, man, I ain't about that. I would be so mad if that happened to me.
I think the reason that it would bother me so much would just be, I believe in rehabilitation, and it's not that aspect of it that bothers me, which is the words Cecil is saying is like, everybody deserves a second chance. It's like, yeah, I agree with that, but I know damn well that's not why they're there for a second chance. I know Cecil doesn't believe in giving them a second chance, and he's just using them as a weapon. And that is the aspect that would be bothering me, is like, they did all of this to me and you're just out here letting them free, using them as a weapon. I know you don't care about that second chance.
Yep.
Sean, how are you handling that situation? I thought on first watch, as we switch into episode 1 to episode 2 here, I thought on first watch that it escalated a little bit fast for me, of like, dude, Mark, why are you just going into Omni-Man mode in 2 seconds instead of just having a conversation with Cecil? But as we talk about it more, as we really dive into it, I'm kind of understanding the thought process and more on Mark's I'm understanding Mark more than I was initially.
Oh yeah, swing on site, dude. Someone that mess with my friends like that, kind of turned my best friend's boyfriend into a weird cyborg thing. Yeah, it's no holds bar. It's over. It's over for you. And it's exactly why you said it. He's not trying to rehabilitate these people. He's using them as a weapon. It's all about control for him, and that's all it's ever been about. Even when you see in the flashbacks of him kind of coming up in the GDA and everything like that, he kind of was in Mark's shoes. And I like how they kind of tried to show you that, like,
Yeah.
Cecil tried that way and it didn't work. He wound up in jail, you know. But it's like, even when he meets Omni-Man for the first time, he's like, I don't care where his allegiance lies as long as he's saving lives. Like, he only cares about the outcome. He doesn't care about anything else. And it's a very big, like, it kind of repaints the opening scene a lot more of they're only helping train Invincible so that he can help defend the world when the Viltrumites eventually come, you know.
Yeah.
And in turn, is that helping Mark get ready for it? Yes, but it's all for very selfish reasons, and that's the problem. So that's why I swing on sight. Sorry, Cecil. See ya.
You mentioned those post-credit, sometimes stingers, sometimes long episode continuations, and we get one in this episode, Sean, with honestly kind of the same one that repeats throughout the series a little bit, the season a little bit, and that's Alan the Alien and Omni-Man hanging out in jail together. Why aren't the Viltrumites coming to Earth yet? Well, they're a little bit busy with Omni-Man and his execution, waiting for him to get strong. But these Alan the Alien and Omni-Man bits are pretty fun. I was originally going to go to Sean, but thinking about it, you know what's going to happen. Rachel, I want to throw it to you. What do you think about developing a relationship between Omni-Man and Alan the Alien? The last time we see Omni-Man, he missed his wife. Do you think he's going to get the redemption arc? The turn, is it going to come?
Oh, there was a part of me that was like, they're showing us this again for a reason. Like, you know, watching the recap, I'm like, come on. I know obviously they're like, hey, this is what happened, this is where people are at, but I'm like, it feels like there could be some sort of redemption arc or something. I feel like something is going to happen, and redemption arc or not, he's gonna be back. So that's my 2 cents for, you know, since I've only seen the first 3 and I'm scared.
I love Alan the Alien's character as well. I think Seth Rogen does a great job, but I also love the, going back to Dragon Ball Z again, I love the, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, the model, the method of like when a character gets the shit beat out of them and then when they heal, they're even stronger than they were before. I think that's a fun little trope that a character has. And so I am looking forward to getting to see more, not just Alan the Alien in a jail cell, but Alan the Alien in action. Yeah. Because this is a character that couldn't even stand up to Mark before and now can hold his own with the Viltrumites. And so it's going to be really interesting to see not just where his personality and character growth will go alongside Omni-Man, but from an action standpoint, where his power levels and strength levels go as well. Episode 2 we see Cecil and Mark just absolutely butt heads, toe to toe, head to head. Mark has a chip implanted in his ear. That's the thing that would piss me off more than anything. And it's I get it. I get it from like a viewing standpoint of you're trying to save the world. What if Mark goes crazy? But at a certain point, you got to have some faith. You got to have some trust. And you're essentially telling me Mark is a member of the Suicide Squad? That's some Amanda Waller shit. And I don't know. That would piss me off the most. And I'm like I said, I was watching this for the first time and I was like, wow, this conflict really escalated. I don't know. It seems like it's happening too fast for me. But as we lay out each individual thing that Cecil's doing and has been going on, I get Mark's anger, man. I'm totally flip-flopping.
Oh yeah.
Rachel, what did you think of episode 2 and the kind of, I was gonna say the build-up, but it's essentially episode 2 is like start to finish chaos between these two.
Oh yeah, it is insane. This was the one where I like you, I kind of flip-flopped. I was like there could have been communication, but it's like not knowing that you have like essentially a detonation device in your head, like that just shows it's like they don't care about you. They only want to control you. Like it'd be different if they had been honest about it and if they had consented to it, known about it. So it really does sow that distrust. And like the more I thought about it and the more the episode went on, I was like, no, like Mark is fully in the right here. Like I would not trust a single thing that Cecil would have to do or tell me after finding that out. Like it was fast paced. It was deserved to be that way. Like we needed that conflict, I think, to really kind of get us to where I think the tone of the season is going to go.
And he talked about liking that the squad is back together, but Mark Cecil takes it a step further, and Sean, he's using the chip, torturing Mark in front of all the Guardians, just trying to pull a power play and kind of show he's the one in charge. Stop messing with him. But it does really look more like a power trip than some proper governing.
Yeah, and obviously he's worried of, Omni-Man Part 2, which he is justified to feel that way, I guess. But I feel like Mark's more than proven that he's here to help Earth. And for Cecil to immediately go to basically kill mode is pretty wild, and I think that's also part of what sets Mark off too, is like, they bring him in the white room and he's like, this is protection from you. And like, immediately that's going to make him more angry, obviously. Like he's spent all this time training with him and fighting off and protecting the Earth and everything like that, and like, this is how you repay him. Like you said, he's treated like a member of the Suicide Squad, which are prisoners. And this dude is a hero trying to save the world.
Not just prisoners, capital prisoners, like solely people who have murdered like dozens of people.
Yeah, it's like they don't care about them as people.
Exactly. So he shouldn't be treated as this like expendable, like almost like item. He views these things as just like tangible things he's like portraying out to the world to help protect it, instead of making actual kind of relationships with people, even though he pretends to have these relationships with people, and it's cool to see like Debbie see right through it and everything like that, like him trying to help with Oliver. And it's a very like interesting thing to see, because I feel like somewhere down there Cecil has to care a little bit. Maybe, I don't know. After this, it's kind of hard to say, but it's kind of with the Omni-Man thing too. It's like you don't see these people as good or bad. It's just people who do good and bad things. And I think that's what makes it much more compelling and much more interesting. And it really just, I think it's really going to come down to, I doubt Mark can trust him again, but like getting a little ahead of ourselves. Like you see in episode 3, like him go to help, even though he doesn't work for Cecil anymore, he still goes and kind of does what he would do if he was working for Cecil. And it kind of, it's like, it's showing that like, hey, there's probably going to be some semblance of working together eventually, because at the end of the day, they both want the same thing. They're just going about it in very different ways. And that's the problem.
And we do see there at least was somebody in there who felt very similarly to Mark at one point when we flash back to early Cecil, and his boss is doing the exact same thing that Cecil is now doing, and Cecil had the exact same reaction. He's keeping this scar on his face after getting blown to shreds to remind himself so it doesn't happen again. And eventually we see the flashback, and he, even after spending some time in jail, comes back to run the organization. And it was kind of interesting to see full circle that his first day was Omni-Man's first day on Earth. And I thought it was, despite how fast paced it went, it's Sean, it's like you said at the beginning, it's wild how they can balance all these storylines. But we got Cecil's entire backstory, Rachel, as we were going through all this craziness with the Guardians.
Yeah, and it was done so well. Like I love that we got the whole backstory. I love that we got to see kind of like the man he was and the man he probably still is, like very, very deep down. Like I think there's always going to be a part of him that's going to be, because he like we said, like he kept that one small scar on his face. He sees that every morning. He's going to remember every morning like the person that he set out to be. But I feel like it's same with a lot of like people in power. Eventually your mind becomes corrupted, becomes clouded. You don't really see what you saw originally, and you just end up becoming the people who were before you. So it's like getting to see all of his backstory and them condensing it down so wonderfully and so quickly without it ever being like, this is moving too fast, we're not getting enough. Or like, they're just giving us exposition where it's kind of like boom, 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 this is what happened. Like, no, we got the nuances. We got to really kind of see who he is and get to experience him more. And I love it. And I just love Walton Goggins' performance in this show. Like, I just love him in general, but his role in this, I'm like, I hate Cecil, but I love him at the same time. Like, I can't truly hate him because I can try to see the goodness that may be left in him, but who knows? Who knows what'll happen?
What are the things called in ghouls and Fallout? It is funny, after Walton Goggins just played a ghoul in that Fallout show when he got all his skin blown off. That's kind of what he looked like in the Invincible shows. He kind of looked like his Fallout character a little bit. I thought it was really well written, but the way they strung it all together, the way episode 1 ends is with I guess not ends, but in episode 1 we have Mark making a fool out of himself when he goes to talk to Eve. And then as episode 2 comes to a conclusion, Sean, he handles it a little bit better. He confesses his love. And now finally, after 3 seasons of waiting, Mark Grayson and Samantha Eve Wilkins, Invincible and Adam Eve, they're together. They're dating.
Mark Eve is here, everyone. It's here, which has been touted as the greatest couple in comic book history. So I'm excited to see this unfold. And as we've seen, as we've talked about complex relationships and matured relationship conversations in this series, it makes sense that why people call them the best couple of all time in comics. I do have a piece I'm working on for Collider that'll probably be out sometime in the next few days or so about them finally getting together. So be on the lookout for that. I'm very excited to write about it, but it's awesome. And I think it needed to wait to happen for it to be as impactful as it is. Mm-hmm. And the thing I love the most about it, as we've seen at the end of episode 2 and even in episode 1 a little bit and episode 3, is that Mark finally has someone in his corner that really understands what he goes through. Not that obviously his mother has been a great support system for him and tries to be there as she can be, and his best friend William's always there for him and everything like that, but they don't truly understand what he has to go through on a daily basis. But Adam Eve does. She definitely understands exactly what it takes and what it is to be a hero, and to him finally have that and not feel alone, especially after all the shit he's been through in these 2 years the show has only been happening. Like, I think the span of since he got his powers, it's only been 2 years, and the dude's been through a lot of real traumatic stuff, and it's great to have him finally have a rock to be there for him that can really truly be there. So I'm so excited that it's finally happened. But again, I think he needed to grow as not only a hero, but a human being. When we first start, he's in high school, he's probably 19, maybe 20, something like that. I think they say his age sometime in this season, but I don't remember what it was. But I think it needed to wait in order to be worth it. It's like Gilmore Girls. If Luke and Lorelai got together at the beginning, it wouldn't have been as cool. You got to build that up. All right. You can't just rush into things. It's not worth it.
Rachel, feel free as well to plug some of your stuff and where the viewers can find it. But when two characters have a important relationship and great on-screen chemistry, you know how to write some pretty great stories alongside of those characters. You got some ideas popping yet for Eve and Mark?
I mean, maybe
Is Invincible the next Our Flag Means Death?
I think Our Flag Means Death is gonna be the next Our Flag Means Death. Nothing's ever gonna stop me from writing that. But honestly, no, like, I love those two together. Like them finally getting together this season, the payoff that everybody hopes for their faves. It was one of those perfect like coming together moments, and they had such good communication. It was so realistic. It was so awkward in the beginning, and it was done in a way that isn't like fake awkwardness. Like especially when you read like the fics and stuff, like some people don't know how to do the miscommunication in a way that's not like just straight up like, oh, we're gonna argue about this and then be mad at each other for like a month and never talk. This is like, oh, we had a miscommunication and a misunderstanding. We're gonna talk about it in a little bit. We're gonna talk like adults. We're gonna get over it. So it just kind of sets like a really nice kind of platform for what's going to come next with them. And it's going to be nice that they're in each other's corners. And I think that's really kind of like what they both need right now, especially with what they're both going through separately.
Episode 3 is really when the story takes a turn, because we've had the introduction beforehand, but this is really when Oliver takes center stage. It's been mostly a Mark story through the first 2 episodes with Cecil in there as well. Episode 3, though, it's an Oliver story, and he's got his powers. He's got a new costume. The Oliver chaos is commencing, Sean. You're shaking your head. We're gonna talk about the fun moments in this episode, because the Amber and the Eve stuff at the bowling alley, that's a lot of fun. And like, we go back to a lot of like the mature conversations that make you feel good, and you don't just like, there's enough, oh God, what is happening in the Invincible series? I think it's so important that they mix in these nice heartfelt moments too. So we'll get to that. But Oliver is here. He wants to be Kid Omni-Man, Sean.
Oh boy. All I've heard, and I don't know what exactly happens, is Oliver's a problem. And I think we got a little glimpse of how big of a problem he can be in episode 3. I do want to point out the opening of episode 3 is so beautiful, in such a like shocking way to tell the story of 2 villains that really just want to provide for each other and be in love. And the whole thing with the flower, it was there's no dialogue, it's only score. And bravo, because I was like, what's going on? And then just as it goes along, I was like, this is beautiful. It's like a 8-minute opening, but it results in Oliver jumping in as Invincible's trying to take care of these 2 villains. But yeah, at the end with the Mahler twins, and there's a little murder to be
little murdery.
Like the Mahler twins have kind of been like I guess like the Loki of the MCU in some way. Before Loki obviously had 2 really great redemption arcs in the MCU. It's like they always just keep popping up in some way, shape, or form, and it's always cool to see them and the dynamic of who's the original, who's the copy, even though they're both probably copies. It's hilarious and so great. But it seems like they're gone. Maybe, I don't know. Superheroes, comic book stuff, no one's ever really dead, so I'm not gonna count that out so far just yet. If Cecil somehow gets them and like makes them come back alive, I would not be shocked. But for all we know, they're dead. And just seeing Oliver covered in blood and that conversation he has with Mark, they didn't have friends or family. Who cares if I took them off the map? We'd never have to worry about them again. And it goes back to that conversation we had earlier. And it's like, not saying what he did was right, but he's making a pretty good point. It's kind of hard to argue with it, and just kind of coming back to like maybe Dad was right. He kind of saw a different side of his dad too. You know what I mean? It was kind of post him realizing maybe doing the whole Viltrum duty isn't the right thing to do. He helped help this planet, saved a bunch of their people, blah, blah, blah. Like, again, it's fighting in that there's no right or wrong, really. It's like trying to see what that is. And it was a very cool and interesting conversation, because we already brought it up before. It's a conversation we've had in superhero media forever. And for them to just have that conversation right there, I was like, this is good stuff. But I'm very worried for what's going to happen with him. Because as we've seen, if he can prove his own in a fight against the Viltrumites, they'll just be like, you want to join with us? That's what they did with Mark. Well, they didn't ask. They said, "You're joining us, or we're going to kill you." I guess they're a little different, but it's. I don't know. I'm scared. I'm scared about what's going to happen with Oliver because he means well, but his powers are definitely progressing a lot faster than Mark's did, and he has a very different mindset than Mark. So that's a little scary.
Rachel, what's your thoughts on Oliver? He's a little super baby, progressing real fast in terms of strength. Seems like he's already almost as strong as Mark is.
Yeah.
Says, I think my dad was right. I should be able to kill people if I think it's for the right reason. Do you go Cecil mode, or do you go at what point do you go, this kid is a terror and we need to be worried?
I know it's such a difficult because when I was watching that, like I was like, this is a kid who kids are so malleable, so impressionable. And it's like at this age, he's already being like, well, I killed him. What's the big deal about it? Even though we know that Mark is like, do not kill people. It is not good. And Oliver is still saying, well, what was the harm? Like, they didn't have friends. They were bad people. Like, I made the world a better place by not having them in there. And it's like, yeah, it's a valid point. Like, it's hard to argue against that. But like, an eye for an eye is not exactly the best way to go about things. And I think and it does I like that worry is just our collective feelings towards the show, but it's like I do worry. Is he like past the point of a return? Like, can Mark pull him back? Can anybody pull him back? Or do we need to think about what we're going to do for him in the coming future? Like what's his is he going to be a problem or is he going to be something that can be fixed?
And the reason why kids do stupid things all the time, and it's not going to affect them permanently while they're adults because they're kids and they're expected to do stupid things. So it'll get wiped off their record. Maybe a kid gets kicked out of school, they get suspended because they're saying some dumb stuff. They hit somebody when they shouldn't because they're kids and they're hormonal and they're learning and they got all these terrible ideas in their head coming from these different places. That it's tough sorting what is right, what is wrong. But when that kid is more powerful than anybody else on the planet, except for maybe his older brother, that's terrifying because a little punch at recess turns into a murder of the Mahler twins. And they don't have that same time frame to kind of figure things out. And so the Mark part of the Oliver part of this episode, I'm with both of you. I was just like, worried the entire time. But I'm happy that it was balanced out with some other really great arcs, mini arcs. We have the bolt, like you said, Sean, the intro with the just kind of showing a lot of criminals. They're not bad people. They're just people with their backs against the walls. And often it leads into a life-altering, life-ruining situation where they're just trying to figure out where to get their next meal from, where to get, etc.
Yeah.
It's not so much a personal failure as it is a failure of the system that's allowing it to happen. We also get the really nice, heartfelt moment where Amber and Eve reconnect at school. They see each other. They say hello. They have a really nice moment of, hey, no, we can be friends. It's okay that you're dating my ex-boyfriend. We're moved on. We're past this. I'm happy you didn't do it the next day, but I'm very thankful that I'm happy that you guys found each other. I think it's going to be great. And you also get the moment where Eve talks with her parents about the powers. And I think it's so interesting the way that they handle that storyline with her dad being so unaccepting of her having superpowers, because it really seems like an allegory for a kid coming out of the closet and the dad being like, you can be gay, you just can't be gay here. You can't be gay in my house. And that's very much what it seems like is going on with Eve, and the way it's written. Again, like a lot of the things in the series are tragic, are tough, they're emotional, but the writing is really, really well done. Rachel, any final thoughts from episode 3 before we start getting out of here?
Yeah, no, you touched on pretty much every everything that I had to, especially like it's coming from like a female perspective. It's so rare to get the kind of reconciliation that even Amber had, because it's like so often it's like, you dated my ex-boyfriend, I hate you, or there's like contention. Here it resolved itself. Like you see that kind of resolution more often in real life. It's not played up for fiction like a lot of the women who never reconcile because of an ex-boyfriend or something like that. But yeah, like the whole like allegory of coming out, like that scene was super super touching. Like I just loved everything about this episode. Like the intro, I was like, I should not be crying at this, but I'm like, okay, we're getting emotional over this because it is. It's a systematic failure. It's showing that there are people, and like as someone who lives in New York City and understands like housing insecurity and how difficult it is with random rent increases and how expensive things are, it's like to see that and to just kind of get that like, yeah, hey, criminals exist, but they're not always just bad people. Like it's just something that happens because it's born out of necessity. So I really did love that we kind of got to see that, kind of got to like be on their side because we knew that they weren't bad people. They were just people who had to do what they had to do, basically. But this was just a lovely episode, like all around. Like everything about it was just done so, so well. Like that's all I could say. It was just done so well.
We get a cliffhanger at the end of the episode where somebody's spying on Mark until he blows up the little bot. Sean's seen a little further in, but Rachel, did you recognize the voice of where that spy drone may have come from?
I was like, I feel like I know this voice, but I don't know if I do. And I didn't I didn't like dig any deeper into it. There's a part of me, I love being surprised. So when I don't know it immediately off the top of my head, I'm like, I'm gonna wait and I'm gonna see what happens when the next episode comes out. I mean, I don't care if I get spoiled, but I was like, the voice is familiar, but I don't know off the top of my head who it was. So I was like, I'll just let it be a mystery for now.
I definitely, when I was writing in my notes, I put like, oh my God, it's this guy again. And I won't spoil just in case. No, if people didn't catch it, I will just say there's somebody that I think maybe we thought might have been gone and is still tormenting Mark in ways that we didn't think he was going to be. But I'm definitely excited for the future of this series. Sean, any final thoughts on episode 3 before we get out of here?
Yeah, I love that tease at the end. The same thing I had as you when I was watching it, and I was like, well, here we go.
This
again.
motherfucker.
Yeah, I will tease something, and this is not anything that's not on the internet. It's been on Twitter, but the title cards may have something to do with a looming threat coming. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, we're in for a treat.
One or the next one?
No, the title cards. The title cards in general of this whole season.
Okay.
You're
so it's a Breaking Bad.
Deal with the devil, and you want a real costume.
Oh
right?
no, just the title cards themselves.
Oh, not the titles of the episode.
The title cards.
Title card.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say. It's not something I haven't seen on Twitter, so I feel safe saying it. But and I'm not telling you what it is, so you can try and figure it out.
I'm gonna try to figure this out because I feel like I might know. I'm not gonna say it. I feel like I might know. So I'm gonna go do some research. I'm gonna do research on this. I don't care. I'm gonna figure it out.
You're probably on the right track, I would imagine.
I probably am. It's been a minute. I need to rewatch the show as a whole. Like I just need to sit down and binge it again.
After the 3 episode release to premiere the season 3, we got weekly releases all the way until March 13th now. 1 episode per week. I'm gonna admit, I'm kind of in my brain, these were only like for the first 2 seasons, like 30-minute episodes of television. And then when I got the screeners, I was watching them, I was like, an hour. We're getting hours episodes with each of these. Like, have they all been this long, or is this a season 3 thing?
I literally thought the same thing. I was like, I don't remember these being 50 minutes.
I think season 2 were longer.
They might have been towards the end, maybe.
Shorter.
Yeah.
Season was definitely shorter. Besides, maybe the finale might have been longer of season 1, but starting off, it was definitely like 30 minutes for sure.
Okay.
You're not crazy.
Okay.
Either way, I dig it because like I've been, as much as I greatly enjoy all the Marvel and Star Wars and Percy Jackson type Disney Plus shows that we've gotten, I will forever criticize the model of that Disney Plus uses, where it's like, what is this 6 to 8 episode series where each episode is 30 minutes? I'm so excited to see these characters. Give me time to see them together. Put them in a room and just let them hang out and have conversations and have this be a 13, a 20 plus episode season, or make each episode an hour long, because otherwise it's not a series, it's a movie cut into parts. And I'm really happy that I don't care about runtime per episode as much as I do overall. Like, give a TV show to have proper development. I want the filler episodes. I want the adventures, the side quest adventure episodes, but I don't want that if there's only 6 30-minute episodes, because I need to see what's happening if there's only 6 30-minute episodes. So yeah. I'm really happy to get the extended length of this here. We will be back next week. Fat Thor will be back joining us. The other TJ Pistilli, for episode 4 of Invincible. Every Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, 12 p.m. Pacific. We will be live talking Invincible. We'll be back tomorrow with an early show talking Severance at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time. We got some travel plans for my co-host heading to California. And so Rachel and I will be joined by Leah Marilla Thomas from the Mary Sue and from being Rachel's roommate. And we are going to talk about Severance episode 4. And this show is wild, so I can't wait to break it down. We'll be back next week talking your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man on Wednesday. The Comic Corner will be dropping this weekend as well. We have interviews with Captain America Brave New World director Julius Ona already on the YouTube page, and wherever you get your podcasts. We'll also be breaking that one down live on Thursday night, right after Captain America Brave New World drops next week on February 13th. So that's right. And that means next Thursday, we got an Invincible live show at 3 p.m. And then later in the evening, we'll be talking Captain America Brave New World as well. We also have Invincible interviews. You can find my interview with Robert Kirkman and Simon Rasiopa on the Agents Fandom YouTube page. They tease more future special content coming for Adam Eve, not just more appearances in the season, but maybe another special episode, maybe another video game. We'll see, something special. As well as which characters they'd like to do a spin-off for. We talked season 3. We talked some casting news. It was a really great chat. Check it out. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can find the Agents of Fandom on socials at Agents Fandom on TikTok and Twitter, Agents of Fandom everywhere else. Rachel, where can people find you on socials? Where can they find your lovely writing?
Oh gosh, you can find my writing, my professional writing. If you want to find my other writing, that's up to you. My professional writing at the Mary Sue. And you can find me on Instagram at Just a Waste of Death, and almost at TikTok, Twitter, because it's always going to be Twitter to me, at Tempest's Teacup. And I'm on Blue Sky. If anyone has Blue Sky as End of a Dream, I'm more active there than I am anywhere else. But that's where you can find me.
They adjust sometimes, but Rachel's social handles will basically always be something that would be moderately similar to a Fall Out Boy song title.
They're Fall Out Boy lyrics. They're all Fall Out Boy lyrics. They're all Fall Out Boy lyrics.
It just reminded me of like the randomness of Fall Out Boy song titles.
Yep, nope. They're both my Instagram and my Twitter are Fall Out Boy. My Blue Sky isn't, but those two are Fall Out Boy lyrics.
Hell yeah.
So you're right. You knew, and I am impressed that you knew.
This is why I said right when I met you, I knew like this is somebody I'm gonna vibe with. This is somebody that I just feel like I'm gonna understand. Sean, where can the people find you on socials, and where can they find your work?
It's super crazy because I play in an emo cover band. It's not a joke. It's a real thing that I do. And we are doing From Under the Cork Tree from front to back next week.
Yeah.
And
oh my God.
So that's my whole life has been learned. And we're doing a My Chemical Romance greatest hit set. So we've learned like 25 songs in the last 2 months. It's crazy. And on the set list that we've printed, obviously, for when we play, our singer put he listed out the full names from the Cork Tree. And if you know from the Cork Tree,
Yes.
some of the names on there are insanely
Long.
long. And he's like, nope, I am not shortening them. I'm keeping the whole names.
Me.
So if we're about to drop a video of him rating every title of the songs on from one of the Cork Tree. So if you want to follow Career Mode 315, that's my cover band. So you can go check out and see our funny content, because unless you live in upstate New York, you're probably not going to be able to see us live. But if you are for some reason in upstate New York, come see us live, because it's a lot of fun. It's like a live show. It really is. It's like going to see a show, but we play all the songs you've loved since you were a teenager. It's great. It's a fun time. But you can find all my nerd stuff, MetalCoreNerds. It's a podcast where I have people from the music world and we talk about pop culture. You can find it on everywhere you find podcasts. Socials for that are just at MetalCoreNerds, at SeanXMott for Twitter, and Instagram for my personal. I've been doing a lot more on Threads for MetalCoreNerds too, if people are on Threads. I don't know. It's weird how some things just happen over there. It doesn't make any sense to me. Their algorithm is really wild, but I'm just kind of rolling with it, I guess. You can also search Sean Mott on Facebook. I post a lot of stuff on there too, because for some reason Facebook likes to push my posts now that I went from a personal page to another page. And you can find all the stuff I write.
Facebook loves Agents of Fandom too. Like, I think we have like 60K followers over there.
Yeah, it's crazy. I only have like 6,000, but still, whatever. People, like, I posted about the
Fandom. That's a lot of people.
And I got like 1,000 likes. I was like, what's going on? Sometimes, by sometimes I mean a lot of times, some of the comments are really gross and awful, but engagement is engagement, I guess. And I will tell you, I'm using your F-bomb. I will tell people to fuck off if they're being really gross. So if you want me to see me do that a lot, you can go to Facebook. And then you can see me. I'm writing about a ton of stuff at Collider right now. I'm writing about Paradise, writing about the new Dexter series, Invincible, Severance, all the stuff you know and love. So not just superhero stuff, all the other stuff. So yeah, you can just search Sean Mott on Collider.com. Find my stuff there. And I post about that on my socials too. So if you follow my socials, you're going to see it.
If your lead singer ever had some laryngitis and you need a backup, you just let me know. I will record for free. I just need you to fly me to New York. So let me know. Little My Chemical Romance, little Fall Out Boy, little Green Day. I just went to Sum 41's final tour the other week, and my goodness, were they absolutely incredible. They had this, I think Rachel, I might have sent you the video for this in like the middle of the concert.
And I was so jealous.
But there was a moment where they were like, we're going to play a song that we've never played live before. It's never even been on an album, but people are always asking for it. And then they start playing, and I just turned to Ava and I forgot the name of the song, but I was like, it's the Fantastic Four song, because that's the one place they released it, is in the OG Fantastic Four movie with Jessica Alba, Chris Evans. There's a scene where Johnny Storm is snowboarding down the hill down the mountain right when he gets his powers, and the Sum 41 song started. And I remember finding it on LimeWire way back in the day, but it was never actually released on any album anywhere. So it was really cool to get to hear them perform it. But we could just have conversations about emo music and punk rock and all of these things for hours. That's another day for another podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We will be back tomorrow for Severance, next week for more Invincible, for Brave New World, for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and a hell of a lot more. So thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next time. On behalf of myself, Sean, and Rachel, peace out.